Hello, everybody. This is Tim here again. I wanted to do one new movie review plus a review for a film I've already reviewed once. I'm going to take my other review off because I have changed my mind on the film, and I feel if I change my mind on a film, then my other review doesn't really count. So I want whatever review I make to be my actual real thoughts on a movie. So without further ado, I'd like to do a review for Jungle Book and Batman vs Superman in the same video. As far as Batman vs Superman goes, last time I get like a low 4 stars. I'd like to change my rating on that. I watched it for another time, and going in without my like fanboyisms and stuff, watching the film, I would still say the film is much better than what critics say it is. I will still say though that if you do not know like these characters in this film, you will not recognize the stuff like the parademons or the Flash when he has a cameo from time travel. You will not recognize that stuff unless you know these characters. So if you really are just like a critic who doesn't know anything about comics or these characters, and then you'll probably hate this movie just because of that kind of stuff. But if you're somebody who knows these characters and stuff like that, and if you're like a Batman Superman fan, I think this movie is easily a 3.5 out of 4. It is a very dark movie. Any weaknesses? The film's not so much too dark, but it's too like bleak. It's too bleak, I would say. Like at the beginning of the movie starts out with people like getting shot, like executed in Africa. It's way too bleak. The movie, I mean, if you're going to be that bleak, just like be R. It just, I mean, the problem with the movie is when it tries to be so bleak with just having people executed. It just, I mean, the way they're executed is just done in like such a bleak, dark way, or just a bleak way. I mean, that it really feels like it should be R because, of course, the movie cuts away when the people get shot in the head. So it really feels like it should be R. You can really tell that it's been toned down. I can definitely see why there would be an R-rated director's cut. Any problems with the movie? The movie becomes too cluttered in the middle. The movie really shouldn't have been called Batman versus Superman because the reason Batman and Superman fight in the movie from Superman's point is really stupid. He basically gets forced to fight by Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor kidnaps his mom. So it's not even really a real fight. It does become a real fight during the fight. The actual fight is great. Batman pretty much wins. Batman wins the fight by using kryptonite, obvious. But the actual fight is still cool. It's like a hardcore street fight. This is a character-driven film from beginning to end. It's, I mean, for the first half of the movie anyway, it's really a character-driven piece. How some people say it's like bad editing, how it jumps from like one character to the other. I didn't see it that way. To me, it was just like character building until like up to the fight and how everything like accumulated from all this build up. Is what it felt like to me, more or less. But So I never had a problem with the editing for the most part. There is one or two little weak editing shots, but not too bad. Wonder Woman is kind of just thrown in here, but because she is just meant to be a tease for her own film, she doesn't hurt. And the woman playing Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, who I've never been a real fan of at all, she actually surprised me in this film. She does good. Wonder Woman is one of the best parts of the film. And her magic lasso and everything on screen, the screen and the ending fight against Doomsday is great. Superman dies at the end, but you get like a hopeful ending where like the dirt starts to rise up on his grave at like the last split second before the film ends, and that's really cool. And the coffin that Superman gets buried in, it like has a silver S on it, like his outfit that he wears when he comes back in the comics after the death of Superman. So that was really cool. A lot of great fan service in this film. And once again, if you're not a fan or if you're just a critic who doesn't know these things, you won't care at all. So you'll probably deduct points from the film um, for having too much fan service. It has a lot, but I don't think it like interferes with the film. Some of it is like little stuff. Other stuff is like important to set up for the Justice League film or to tease it or whatever. It's still really cool to see it. And so I'm a fan. So I'm judging as a fan. This is a fan's point of view for the film. I think this Batman vs Superman is a pretty good movie. Uh, I will say it's got the same kind of problems as Avengers 2. It's got the same type of overstuffing. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is half and half. Sometimes he works, sometimes he doesn't. The film is still 3.5 stars out of 4. It's a pretty good movie. Definitely not a bad movie. Nowhere near as bad as critics are saying it is. That's really ridiculous what kind of critic bashing this film has got. I mean, really ridiculous. In my opinion, this film is easily better than Thor and Thor 2 or Captain America Part 1 or it's not as good as Winter Soldier or Avengers 1. And I would say I like Avengers 2 just like a speck, micro speck better than this movie, just like a micro speck. It's not as good as either of the Avengers films, but it's better than any of the Thor movies or Captain America Part 1. It's not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy. It's better than Ant Man. It's also better than Man of Steel, in my opinion. A pretty good movie. I think if you go into this film, I know that not everybody I know there's I mean, I know there's people who would judge films fairly, like comic book films and any films fairly, but for people that are biased against Zack Snyder and his style, this movie's not going to win you over. Do not waste your time watching this. It's a useless effort. But for people who are open-minded with what they see and go in with realistic expectations for the film is easily a pretty good movie. Not a bad film. Worth a watch. Um, it should be fun for fans, a lot more so than critics, evidently. But yeah, pretty good film, and I really look forward to seeing the 3 hour cut. Problem with the film is the pacing's a little off, but that's because the middle of the film feels really muddled. The first half of the film is fine, and the last half of the film is fine, but the middle of the film gets really muddled and starts dragging, and you can feel like there was important story points that were cut out, and it makes it just feel like a big globby mishmash. It makes the pacing seem off because it makes it feel like you should hurry up and get to the fight because nothing really interesting is happening. So that's a problem with it. But all in all, 3.5 star film, pretty good movie. Definitely worth a watch, and I can't wait to see Darkseid and Justice League film. And I'm really looking forward to Suicide Squad. Honestly, Suicide Squad to me looks like it'll be my favorite comic book film of the whole year. You know, fuck Batman versus Superman and Civil War. Suicide Squad looks like the shit, in my opinion. But all in all, 3.5 star film. We jump into the Jungle Book. I love the Jungle Book. I give it a high 4 stars. I love the Jungle Book. I thought it was a great movie. It's not like overly amazing or anything. There are some weak story points. In some of the CGI, even though it's magnificent CGI, 99.9% of the time, there's that little 1% where it still feels like CGI. CGI is still not 100% like as good as animatronics or anything. Even when I watch CGI, even if it's really awesome CGI, I can still feel like it's CGI. But either way, the CGI in this film is amazing. Probably best I've ever seen. Amazing. Animal CGI wise, this is like the best I've ever seen. Well, maybe like tied with like Life of Pi. Life of Pi, the tiger in that was amazing CGI wise. I really enjoyed this film, Jungle Book. The Mowgli guy who played Mowgli in the film, the child actor, was great. All the voice cast was perfect. I loved Bill Murray as Baloo and Idris Elba as Shere Khan. They were both great. It pretty much sticks to the standard story of the Jungle Book. This is not a musical. There are not like shitloads of musical numbers. You get 2 musical numbers, Bare Necessities with Bill Murray, and you get another one with Christopher Walken as King Louie. So they're very short, and they're great to hear, but this movie is not a musical. Keep in mind, it's not a musical. It's also it's decently dark for a family film, so little kids might be a little afraid. But I'd say for the most part, kids will be fine with this. But I mean, there is a scene where Shere Khan is, the tiger, whatever, the asshole. He's like talking to the wolves, like, "Where'd the man cub go?" And they're like, "He's gone. Isn't that good enough for you?" And he's pretty much like, "Well, I'll just be on my way." And like as he's turning his back to walk away, he just like flips around and grabs the main wolf of the wolf pack by the neck or whatever, and like friggin' slings it up in the air. Is fucking epic. He kills him. He kills like the leader of the wolf pack, and he whoops everybody's ass in this movie. He's like a force to be reckoned with. He kicks the bear's ass. He kicks all the wolf's ass. It takes Mowgli to defeat him. One problem with the movie is towards the end of the film. This film is a very simple story, and it works for the film. It is a little bit too simple, but I didn't mind it. It's a family film, and it's got a dark edge to it and very entertaining. Another thing is that Scarlett Johansson is like the giant anaconda or whatever in this film, or Python or whatever. She's only in it for like one scene. I don't even know why they got her for this because she's in the film for one scene. That felt weird. I didn't know why she didn't come back. Probably a deleted scene or something for time, but it seems really weird they only used her for one scene. But what you see in the preview is what you get in the movie as far as her character goes. It's an awesome scene, but she's only in one scene. But at the end, when Mowgli like brings the fire in from like the human village, he's gonna use it on Shere Khan. He's like, "See, look, he's using the fire or whatever of man, and all the other animals are afraid. All his friends are because they're all afraid of fire." So he like throws the fire away and decides to just fight him 1-on-1. So that's like a man invention. But right after that, his friend, the panther, Mowgli's friend, the panther, pretty much looks at him and says, "Don't fight him as like an animal. Fight him as a man." And so I'm like, "Well, then why did he throw the fire away?" I mean, I don't get what kind of thing they're trying to mesh there. Like they don't want him. He pretty much unlike some versions of this you've seen where Mowgli like goes back to the human village. In this, he stays with the animals. He becomes like a member of the animal kingdom pretty much, and just decides to live there and be friends with them in the jungle, which I'm fine with that. But at the same time, it's like so he rejects fire, which is a man-made thing, but he decides to use his man like abilities to fight Shere Khan with, and that's what the Panther encourages him to do. So I don't know, it's kind of a little confusing, but it works. The final showdown is great between him and Shere Khan. Shere Khan falls down like a fiery death, or we assume death, unless this film gets a sequel, and it probably will, because I expect this to make a shitload of money, because this is a great film. But that's the only one little thing I was confused about. The animal voice actors in this film are fucking perfect, and they got everybody voice casted spot on. I loved it. The CGI is amazing. But just a little thing, little character thing about them not wanting him to use fire, but at the same time they want him to be who he is, a human. So I don't know. I guess it's because fire is like a tool thing that destroys. It's like a man tool, but they want him to use like his natural abilities instead. I guess it's something like that. But the way it comes in the film, it's kind of mismatched a little bit. But other than that, the film is fine, and the special effects are phenomenal. Even though it still is CGI, but for CGI, it's phenomenal. I loved Bill Murray as the bear, as Baloo. He was great. Yeah, all in all, I'd give it a high 4 stars. I highly recommend it. Great family film for you to take your families to watch. Highly recommend this film. And I will see you guys again with finally a horror review.